What's up, guys? It's Arib Suyas here back, and I want to talk a little bit about the Epstein files. And I just wanted for now to stick to the cybersecurity aspect. Obviously, I don't have anything positive to say about one of the largest pedophiles in history and the people he associates with. But we can see from the released files from the White House that there is a lot of relevant things pertaining to cybersecurity. Not a big surprise to me, but apparently to some people it is. And I like this banter that apparently looks like Jeffrey Epstein was having with Steve Bannon. So they were talking about China, and there's been a few references. One was an offhand reference to whatever plans they had, that they seemed to think it would work well in Ukraine, but they said good luck doing that in China. Again, I regard that as a very positive point, not only for optics, but these people who are essentially working with government entities or have the full power of their governments, whether it's the United States or Israel, they're clearly calling the shots. When someone is talking to presidential advisors and the elite, even prime ministers, as we are seeing in the leaks, what I'm saying here is that essentially you might as well consider them a de facto agent of various states, right? They're state-level actors. And you can go on to see, for example, how Jeffrey Epstein was complaining that China had found their NSA hacking tools. Not only did they find them after the United States planted them, but they then used them against the United States. So if you load at things there, number one, and I've talked about this before, I'm always very skeptical with these claims that the Russians or Iranians or Chinese hacked people or the North Koreans, because as we learned from Edward Snowden and things like the Vault 7 leaks, some of these tools are already designed to obfuscate and put markers in there that make it look like it came from a particular country. Although in the NSA's case, yeah, clever on them to actually embed these tools into aspects of China's IT and telecom infrastructure. Well, by doing that, obviously, then you can make a Chinese attack when and whenever you want, right? However you want it to be. And then I guess you could say, yeah, China did a cyber attack. So yes, it's very interesting. And going back to this, though, we can really see, though, that wherever the U.S. goes, even though China is such a powerful country with so much military might and financial might, unfortunately, they were still compromised by the NSA. And so I'm going to throw this out there again. Do you think that you're a small European country, or even here in Canada, you think that we are not compromised? You can only have a chance of being safe if you're going to be in a place that can resist the United States. China is very, one of those few. And you can see the frustration, all this racist banter between the two of them. They call Chinese people, they call us everything from rats to peasants. That is frustration. That is jealousy that they have not been able to achieve their goals, right? I think they called President Xi someone who doesn't even have a kindergarten education. He graduated top of his class from Tsinghua University. So you can look at these comments. And to me, it's also very telling. This language, this term peasants, as you know, our favorite vice president, J.D. Vance, has been using this a lot. I'll probably make a few of these videos too. When I was in China last time too, I was talking about the peasantry and showing some of the peasantry that I had observed in China, if you know what I mean. So I'll make a video on that. But in terms of your cybersecurity and your business security, I think it's more imperative than ever to go with a strong contender against the United States. And if you're not doing that, I say you have essentially zero chance of securing yourself. And the final thing I will leave for some of my friends here in this industry, there's a lot of people fleeing the West. We're seeing things devolve very quickly. I've talked a lot about Europe. Obviously, I'm not feeling any better here in Canada. We've had some big problems. I don't know if they're going to be solved. And so there's a big movement of people advocating to get secondary residencies, to get different passports and alternative options in different parts of the world that you think you might be safe. The final thing I will say, and I'll make a video just for this one, I'm still shocked that many people and companies preaching security in all aspects and fleeing from the West for safety, a lot of them are still using Gmail. They're still using U.S. cloud companies to communicate and store sensitive client data. And I'm talking about things related to immigration, to citizenship, to sensitive corporate documents. And this is just one example. I see it all the time. And this is still a big issue. And I'm glad that some of the stuff has come out because it's really creating an opportunity for all of us, right? Whatever level you're at, whether you're just someone sitting at home who wants to secure email, or you want to secure your business and your assets, and you just want to maybe make sure you're not being spied on. right? It's a big problem. And now we're getting close to the solution. I mean, the solution's always been there, but we haven't been able to get to the solution because many of the people who are getting hacked and monitored here haven't really been aware of it, or to the extent that it is. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on all this, right? Are you shocked that the NSA has used these so-called cyber weapons that we already know about in China and tried to compromise their infrastructure? And are you also shocked to know that non-elected people like Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon are basically calling the shots here, right? We are seeing this not from the head of the CIA or NSA. How do they have this information? So what I'm getting at again is that there are elite people in the world that are calling the shots, and they were calling the shots even though they weren't elected, but they have access to the very same of high-level information, classified information, and they're not only able to access it, they're also able apparently to be part of the operation and maybe even use it against targets at will. And again, the fact they say Jeffrey Epstein was a so-called financier, well, I think he was acting at multiple state levels. I won't get into that, but my point is that he has made this money, obviously, by having access to government information. So is it really so hard to believe that someone like Jeffrey Epstein would have access to people's phone information? I mean, their phone calls, the recordings, other people's email from Gmail, access to the cloud data, if he would be so privileged to know that the NSA was caught by China and the tools were used against them. Are we really so naive to believe that people like this, working at essentially the state level, wouldn't have access to gain information into your banking, information into all of your emails at Google, and this sort of thing, guys? So yeah, just curious to know what you think. And again, I hope we can all start this journey into better security and de-risking from the things that are really finally coming out that have been going on for a very long time. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.